Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live match reaction show on Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzie, and I'm your host for this evening. What a result it ended up being earlier on today as Liverpool beat Brighton 2-0 at Anfield. Is it a farewell from Mohamed Salah? We'll discuss that during the show. We'll also discuss the match in a bit more detail in regards to key moments. We'll do player ratings, and if anyone wants to call in, feel free to hit the link in the live chat. Now, let's start and discuss the game that took place earlier on today. Well, it didn't take us long to score a goal, that's for sure. We scored literally within the minute. What a goal it was. Firstly, brave header from Joe Gomez to head it down towards Ekitike, and Ekitike did the rest basically. He controlled the ball, smashed the half volley over the keeper. Those kind of moments you normally see strikers balloon it over the goal, but he executed it with the right technique and gave Liverpool the lead in the opening minute. But credit to Brighton, that didn't stop them from attacking. They were actually quite relentless in their pressing and in their distribution to create chances. Minte was very close to scoring, running from the right hand side. Cuts in, has a low shot, just goes wide. Gomez has a shot as he finds himself through on goal. Great block by Allison, who came charging out of his line to make that crucial block there. And then Al Gomez and Joe Gomez goes on a bit of a mazy run on the right hand side, hits a low cross to Ekitike. Unfortunately, his effort goes over the bar. In that moment, I think he was leaning back, so maybe should have done better and hit the target at least. And then, unfortunately for Joey G, he picked up an injury. I'm not so sure in terms of the extent. It hasn't been confirmed. I'm praying and hoping it's just a small knock more than anything else, and I'm hoping he's back in due course. So unfortunately, he had to depart, but that also led to Mohamed Salah being brought on as a first half substitute. And Salah wasted no time. Literally, his first touch of the game, um, he's through on goal on the right hand side, lays it off very unselfishly to McAllister. McAllister had to pretty much hit the ball with a bit of power. He tried to follow where the ball came from and hit on target, but as he produced no power on the shot, ended up getting blocked by the keeper. And then once again, Salah was part of the build-up, where Ekitike has a shot from just outside the box that goes wide. Gravenberch has a shot on the edge of the box. Great build-up play there, but unfortunately, he hits it straight at the keeper. So Liverpool were definitely knocking on the door, and it was great to see that Liverpool were playing with a bit more style, a bit more sort of finesse as well. And in the second half, Ekitike was, you know, started just the way, he started the first half, where he went on a bit of a mazy run from the left-hand side, drives inside. What I like about Ekitike's play today is just the way he dribbles, but it's not just the dribble, it's the weight of the touch that he runs with. It's almost perfection the way he does it. In this moment, the shot wasn't perfection. Drags it wide. Maybe should have been a corner kick to be fair, but it wasn't given. But then Brighton had a great opportunity. Uh, Wifa, who's become a makeshift right back for Brighton, hits a low cross towards the 6 yard box. You saw Gomez come flying in, applying a left footed shot, and I thought he's got to bury it. He's literally 2, 3 yards away. The whole goal's there to aim at, but he hits the outside of the post. Um, should have buried it. That's a big, big opportunity that he missed. And you can tell by Konate's face, it was a sigh of relief there. And then Liverpool had a counter attack. Salah passed it to Ekitike, who cuts in, has a shot, hits it over the bar. Should have done better, but thankfully, Ekitike gets the second goal later in the second half to make it 2-0. And look, I think in terms of today's performance, it showed there was a better sort of togetherness. Um, and it was good to see the likes of Ekitike being given a chance to lead the line. And quite frankly, at this stage, I have to say he's probably undroppable. He played at such a great level. You can't you. So, um, 2 goals today. Maybe he should have got a hat trick. He had quite a few chances where I feel like he could have scored. In this moment in time, it was a fantastic cross from Mohamed Salah, uh, and it's inch perfect. And you can probably question Brighton's defending in that moment there, but I'm going to give credit to Mohamed Salah for the creativity that he produced because that ball was inch perfect to Ekitike because it curled over everyone, and then just at the right second, curled towards the outside, and Ekitike was a free man, and a point blank header was applied, and he made it 2-0. And then Chiesa came on. We were all screaming for Chiesa to get involved. He finally did, showcase his talent, relentless play, went through on a counter attack. Most players maybe would have tried to go for goal, but unselfishly he tries to lay off to Salah. Added a bit more to a bit added a bit too much zip onto that pass, and it bounced as well, which didn't help Salah in that moment. And unfortunately, his shot just goes over the bar. But look, overall, a much better performance from the Reds. We played with a bit more energy today, a bit more directness, and there was great patterns of play during the game, which we haven't seen in the last few weeks. So a great result, 2-0 at home. Clean sheet, which is the foundation you need to get on a good run. So far so good. But I have to be honest. I don't think I don't want to say things like, "Oh, we're back." I don't. I still feel like there's parts in our game where we aren't quite solid enough. Brighton created a lot of chances today. If they were more clinical, it would have been a different story altogether. So we have to appreciate that we did ride our luck a little bit, in my opinion. And if those goals had gone in, it would have been a different outlook altogether. But let's stick on the positives, and it was a great win for the team, and I think it was thoroughly deserved. Now, today, the big talking point was about Mohamed Salah. Does he start? Is he on the bench, or is he out of the squad but still visible, as in he's still in the stands? Well, he started on the bench, and when he came on, you could tell the fans were very supportive, considering fans on social media have been quite split, and it's been quite a lot of people supporting the club over Salah or Carragher over Salah as well. But at Anfield, it felt like a lot of the fans were Team Salah, and this is just a clip of how the crowd responded to Salah coming onto the pitch. Now, we were all waiting in anticipation at the end of the game as well, as the crowd, I'll be honest, with you, majority of them stayed behind to see Salah's reaction. Is this a farewell, or is this a see you later once I return from international duty? I think it's more of a see you later, which seems maybe it seems more me being hopeful than not. But having said that, I could easily say that it's a thing where either the club or his agent has told him to be neutral in his demeanor, in terms of how he presents himself after the game, in terms of in front of the crowd, and not show too much emotion. As right now, nothing is set in stone. There's still discussions in the background, I believe, to try and sort of clear the air and move forward. And of course, if there was any sort of truth to him leaving, it would look crazy if he started crying, and then all of a sudden he arrives in January, then he's actually still at the club and remains for the rest of the season. So In this scenario, you have to be neutral. You have to be able to show face. And I think that reaction that he showed, where he walked around the pitch, clapped the crowd quite a bit of time, and was the last one to leave the pitch as well. So I don't know if he normally does that per game, but I feel like he does do that during the big games just to show his appreciation to the fans. So I think that reaction was expected and it appeared as normal, nothing too sort of out of the ordinary, in my opinion. But I hope and I want to say that it felt like a see you later rather than a goodbye. And hopefully we get to see Mohamed Salah in January. And after the match, reporters asked him in the mix zone if he wanted to talk. He replied by saying, 2 weeks in a row? No, no thanks. And just chuckled as he walked away. And look, he's reacting with tongue in cheek there. I just hope that this situation has been put to bed and we can just focus on being a team, going back to winning ways and climbing up the table, which is the most important thing for Liverpool Football Club. But in typical Mo Salah tradition, records have been broken, and it's no different today. Salah becomes the first player, or shall I say, the highest player in terms of the most GA for a single club in Premier League history. Mohamed Salah has 277 GA, and so he's beaten Wayne Rooney in the rankings. And that goes to show the impact that he has produced for Liverpool since he arrived all those years ago. And that's probably a bit of a slap in the face to Jamie Carragher, who's basically tried to discredit his impact at the club, saying that before he came was nothing. But the thing is, that's all good and well. If that's your opinion, that's your opinion. But what he has done as he signed for Liverpool is simply world class. You don't come to a club like Liverpool and be so consistently good, putting up the high numbers week in, week out, being consistent, winning trophies, winning individual accolades. I think that's just by luck. It's nothing to that nature. He has worked hard to be in the position he is in. And just to prove my point here, look at the stats here. In his opening season in 2017, 2018, 32 goals, 10 assists. So that's 42 GA there. 2018, 2019, 22 goals, 8 assists, 30 GA. 2019, 2020, 19 goals, 10 assists, 29 GA. 2020, 2021, 22 goals and 5 assists, 27 GA. 2021, 2022, 23 goals and 13 assists. That's 36 GA. 2022, 2023, 19 goals, 12 assists. That's 31 GA. 2023, 2024, 18 goals, 10 assists, 28 GA. And look at this one. This is last season, 2024, 2025, 29 goals, 18 assists. That's 47 GA. His best season in a Liverpool shirt. And of course, this season hasn't gone flying, unfortunately. He's only got 4 goals and 3 assists. But then again, you just have to look at the team. The team hasn't been great either. So we really have to respect the player that Mohamed Salah has been. Because quite frankly, I think a lot of fans have thrown him under the bus, to use that term again, because it's been the popular term used by Salah and Jamie Carragher, unfortunately, the last week. But I hope they're vocal today because the way he performed, I'm not saying it was a world-class performance or anything like that. But for me, he still showed that he's an important player. He can have an impact in the team. And if Liverpool are going to be anywhere near successful this season, they need Mohamed Salah. So I'm hoping, things can be sorted out in the near future. But having said that, that's my opinion. I wanted to stay, but it's not a foregone conclusion. If the likes of Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes feel hugely disrespected by what Salah did last week, then unfortunately they will react with no emotions and get rid of him, i.e., cash in on him on January. So let's see what ends up being the outcome. Hopefully, for me, Salah remains at the club and at least finishes the season, and we can review the situation once again in the summer. So before we move on, and do the play ratings, I'm going to go through the comments and we can take it from there. Let's start with the top. Bo, big up Bo. He says, Ozzie, much better in attack. Verts and Ekitike, what a duo. But the defenders were not good at all. If they finished their chances, we could have lost. But finally, an enjoyable Liverpool game. Yeah, it was a lot more enjoyable than it has been in recent weeks. I agree. I feel like we're not completely solid at the back. A lot of chances were created from Brighton. If they were wearing their shooting boots or they were a bit more clinical today, it could have been a completely different outcome. So I feel like we did well to keep a clean sheet. But that's why I say I don't think we're the finished article. We still have a lot of work to do in order to get to that same level that we showed last season. So hopefully in the coming weeks that is a possibility for us. Ball says Jones is effing majestic, pressing machine, one of the best. Sorry, one of the first on the team sheet every time. I agree. At this stage, I think he is undroppable. He can't be a squad option for me. He needs to be one of the first names on the team sheet. So I totally agree with you there, Bo. Bo also says, but still not won over by slot at all. Are you, Ozzy? Not for me. There are still areas in the way he sets the team that I still feel like we're a bit fragile or we're not quite connected as we should be. But there is progress being made. I will say that in the last few weeks, progress has been made. And whether that's down to the coach or that's down to the players really pushing themselves and making sure there's a bit more of a togetherness together as a collective, I don't know. I can't say 100%. If I was to guess, I'd probably say it's more of the players than the coach. And I'm not trying to sound disrespectful, but I feel like the players are assessing their own performances and realize they need to do better. So I think that's why there's been a better turnaround. But for me, it's not enough. We have to keep working, keep improving. For me, the table cannot be something we focus on too much in terms of positioning. We have to just take it game by game, and hopefully we can climb up that table and get to a respectable position, or at least challenge for something towards the end of the season. Uh, Try to talk for me is a bit far fetched and not really something that I'm looking at right now. Bo also comment to say Mo was really good as well. Didn't look like his last game or and question mark. No, my thing it didn't come across as that could be his last game. I'm not saying based on how he performed, just his demeanor and the way he reacted with the crowd at the end. So I'm hoping he remains. To be fair, Bo saying was a big up Bo. Uh, But also comments to say, why did we concede so many chances even though we had our entire team in defense? That's worrying. I think it's a tricky one to answer. I think with today, the danger came more so from the left-hand side, and that's not because Salah was there before anyone starts handing those kind of comments. I think because Joe Gomez left the pitch, we lost that balance. So Bosley, of course, did a job very well from a technical standpoint, but we lost that sort of defensive assurance on that side of the pitch. And I feel like there were times in the midfield where they didn't pressure or put pressure on Brighton, and they were able to play a bit more in a comfortable manner, i.e., they were able to move the ball around quicker and not feel they were, being pressed or feel like they're in danger of losing the ball. So that comes from our intensity. We don't have those kind of midfielders that are physically imposing or playing with such a high press, and that's something we need to try and build on because the players that have it in their locker. It's just that it's not done for large parts of the game, so that's something we need to work on going forward. Deleuze still big up Deleuze still says unbeaten in 5 Oz. Is Slot slowly redeeming himself? Not for me entirely. I think there's still question marks in terms of his ability as a coach, his ability as a tactician, and his man management skills. These are things that for me they haven't been rectified in the last few weeks. But as I've always said, for me, I support Liverpool Football Club. So if my team gets back to winning ways and gathers the points, I'm happy. But I still have an opinion on the coach, and I still stand by it. For me, it wasn't just a reaction based on us losing. I just saw elements of his leadership and his demeanor that I felt like, something just didn't feel right. And the lack of changes made during games, whether it's tactical setups or substitutions, mistreating players like Chiesa, who should be in the team a lot more, in my opinion. These are things that he hasn't really, improved on. He hasn't really applied, if that makes sense. So for me, yes, he's an unbeaten in final. That's going to be his case if the board was to put pressure on him. And right now, we're not too far away from the top four. But I don't think he's the one to take us forward, and I stand by that. Whilst the kid is such a good team player, he's a great team player, and for me, does everything right, but just isn't given a chance to start for whatever reason. But also comments to say now slot now his team now he needs to pick them every week. No playing Isak in form, not playing Gakpo when he's back. Um, hopefully, Szoboszlai and Gomez is not serious. Yeah, so both that one, I think he basically went off for joining. So hopefully, it's not something where he's reacted after and said, "Oh, I'm in a bit more pain," because I feel like he hit the back of his heel. Those, you could kind of, it can kind of feel sore on the day, and the next day, unfortunately, it might be bruised or whatnot. So hopefully, it's nothing serious. And the same goes for Joe Gomez because I feel like he's been fantastic for us, has really offered us a great balance in midfield, in defense, and also further down the byline as well. So he's been a great player for us in the last few weeks. Ball comments. Why did we defend in a 2-0 at home versus Brighton? Klopp would never. It's just the pressure of making sure we get the point. Of course, you know what happened against Leeds United. We were 2-0 up and we lost the game. Well, we drew the game 3-3. It felt like a loss, but it wasn't on paper. It was a draw. So that's why, you know, it just kicked in for us to be a bit more defensively compact. Uh, but, end of the day, we got the clean sheet. We maintained the scoreline. Probably should have increased the tally, in my opinion. But then again, Brighton could have added more to the score sheet as well. Lee says, big up, Res, big up, Lee. I hope you're well. Bo says, Ozzy, what is up with these contract talks for Konate going on for so many months? You and I would have signed under immediately, not even looking at the contract. Why is Konate taking so long? I don't think we are meeting his expectations. A lot of the contracts at the club, they're not flat based salaries. So they're not. So, for example, when we say Mohamed Salah's earning 450K a week, that's not flat salary. It will be around that figure plus incentives that will increase that tally a bit more. And I think with Konate, I'm not sure 100%, but I think he earns just under 100K. So he's probably asking for double plus bonuses, and that might not be what he wants. He probably wants 200K plus bonuses, for example. So I think in terms of the overall package, we're probably meeting his threshold in terms of the amount that he wants to earn, but it's based on his performances. So that might be something that's a bit of a stumbling block. And you've got clubs like Real Madrid who will be happy to offer him that base salary that he wants, maybe even more, because on their part, they're getting him on a free transfer. So they don't really have to pay a transfer fee. They can just go directly with him, give him a sign-on fee, and he gets the salary that he wants. So that's probably why he's not committed to signing a contract. Quite frankly, I'm still not impressed with how he's performed this season. And if he goes, so be it. I'm not really too headsprung on him staying at the club. So I don't really have a strong opinion anymore in regards to Konate. If he goes, he goes. If he stays, he stays. But if he does decide to stay, for me, he's not, or he shouldn't be alongside Van Dijk. It should be another defender. Hopefully, a new signing in January. Hopefully, a new signing in the summer, whenever it occurs. We need an upgrade in that position, and Konate on paper would be fair choice. That's how I would go, looking at the future. But only time will tell in terms of what Liverpool do in terms of their next bit of business. Bold comments to say doesn't seem like player wants to be at the club taking so long. I agree. I feel like his head is already at Madrid, so I think that's where he wants to be. Both says and Arsenal won with 2 on goals, typical. Yeah. When you're at the top, you do get that sort of luck, unfortunately. So that's what they're going through right now. But also, what does Rio gain from sitting on the bench every damn game? He gains nothing. And that's something I've been vocal about weeks and probably months ago now, that he shouldn't be in the first team fold. He should be playing for the under 23s, in that kind of level, because I feel like it's a great place for him to play against different types of opposition. Because when it's under 23s, it's young players plus the senior players as well. And I feel like that's the right place for him to actually gain experience, learn his trade. You know, if he makes mistakes or errors in those kind of games, nothing's going to happen. No one's going to, look at him or review him with a microscope. So for me, it's very, very important that he's able to play and sharpen his tools, learn different parts of his game from a defensive point of view and from an attacking point of view. I feel like his end product needs to be worked on in order for him to play at this level on a consistent basis. Being around the squad is good because obviously he's training with top class players. But if you're going to be part of the squad, you have to utilize him, and I don't think he's done that enough. He's brought him on when we're struggling and we need a savior, and that's not fair on a 17-year-old. So for me, Slot has not managed him very well. And if they feel like the under 23s is not the right level for him and he's maybe too good, loan him up to a championship side for the second part of the season. I think that would only benefit him. And then when he returns in the summer, then that's something we can look into in terms of preseason. So that would be the way to go. But right now, he's sitting there, not really getting any game time, and it's quite frustrating. A bit sad to see as well. Mm. Steve's comments to say, why did I even get my hopes up and trust Wolves with anything? Yeah, you can't trust them with anything, to be fair. Bosley doesn't deserve that at all. Daz, big up Daz. He said Dom is an ankle, is the ankle. Uh, Same with Gomez as well, maybe. Well, let's see. We haven't got any clarity, so I'm sure we'll get some further news in the coming days. So hopefully it's nothing too serious for both Szoboszlai and Joe Gomez. Both the comment says, watched Dortmund under Klopp some days ago, and wow, Klopp was amazing. It was amazing at Liverpool as well. So yeah, an amazing manager that we had. Yeah, you know what a time it was to be a Liverpool fan when we had Jurgen Klopp at our club. But yeah, that's more reminiscent of our previous years, unfortunately. Hopefully, we get back to that level in the near future. But we'll have to take it one step at a time. So let's move on and do the player ratings. And feel free to get involved and let me know your scores as well. So let's start with Allison. But Allison was pretty solid throughout the game. Didn't really make any huge mistakes or blunders. They had a few shots, but I think their shots were not on target. A lot of them were close to the target. So Allison didn't really have to make a lot of saves today. There's only one moment towards the latter stage of the game where a low cross came and he dived in to push it away as he was literally on the ground and almost gave the ball away to a Brighton player, and that could have led to a goal, which would have been a bit of a disaster. Um, so I think he had a solid performance. Didn't have to make too many saves. So with that regards, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Joe Gomez actually very, very solid before he got injured, unfortunately. Um, Provided the assist, number one, for Ekitike. It was a brave one because he had to pretty much press forward, and the Brighton player could have easily booted his face, but he committed first, got the touch ahead of the Brighton player, bounced towards Ekitike, who applied the first touch and hit the half volley over the keeper. So great finish there from the French striker. But to Joe Gomez, there's a couple moments where he produced great runs on that right hand side. Just a shame that he picked up an injury. I'm not sure to the extent of it. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious. But I think for what he contributed today, he produced a good performance. I'll also give him a 7 out of 10. I think Kanate was very good today, if I'm being honest. I thought he was very solid. Um, Distribution was, he kept it simple. But what impressed me the most was his positional sense. He made a lot of blocks today, a lot of blocks, and at times literally saved Liverpool from conceding a goal. So for me, his awareness was much better because I've criticized him this season where I feel like he lacks focus during games, but today he was pretty much tuned on and was aware of his surroundings and made great tackles and great blocks at the right time. So a solid performance from Konate today. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. And his partner in crime alongside him, I'll have to agree as well. He was very, very solid today. Led by example, looked very assured on the ball. And they didn't really get at him that much, to be fair. So another solid performance from the captain. So he gets the same score of an 8 out of 10. Perkez, was much better today. Much better, more solid. He had a very tricky customer in front of him in the name of Minte, and Minte was very aggressive. He was on the ball a lot of times, but Kirkes did his best. He kept him at bay. Of course, Minte had a couple of shots, but thankfully for us, it didn't lead to anything. And I thought he had a solid game. Made a couple of blocks himself as well. From an attacking point of view, not involved as much today. But I think his focus and or his instructions was to make sure he doesn't get out of position and make sure he stays as close as he can to Minte. And I think he did a good job today. So in terms of his rating, I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10. Uh, Gravenberch, good performance today. Solid on the ball, decent at times with his runs. I love the way he makes that half turn and carries the ball. So yeah, very good performance from Gravenberch. So in terms of his rating, I think it's a solid performance. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Jones was fantastic today. He really was. Everything about his performance today is what you want to see in a midfielder, especially playing in a double pivot. He was strong on the ball, barely gave the ball away, very accurate with passing, passed the ball forward, not just sideways, aggressive in his play, energetic, roaming around the pitch, helping out in terms of the players in front of him with through balls or just being an extra player in attack. Timed that run very well. Never got exposed today. Fantastic overall performance. Really impressive, Jones, and I'm really appreciating the consistency that he's shown in recent weeks. And he's literally symbolizing what it means to be a Liverpool player, to play passion, to play with energy, and that's something we have lacked in our midfield. And today he was fantastic. So for me, Curtis Jones gets an 8.5 out of 10. Really impressed with Curtis Jones today. McAllister, on the other hand, I wasn't so impressed, to be fair. I'm disappointed that Slot has played him in that number 10 position again because I don't think he's the best profile for that position. I know his shirt number says something else, like he's our number 10, but he doesn't play like how a number 10 should do within the system. And it's a bit of a worry because with this position, you have to be someone that is pressing from the front, which he does moments here and there, but not consistently. And unfortunately, one of his weaknesses that has been exposed this season is that he doesn't have a strong stamina. I feel like he gasses out very, very quickly in games, and therefore the energy levels, they depreciate. He's not as strong on and off the ball. He gets pushed around. He's got no physical presence. And you don't have to be 6'5" to have a physical presence. Like you can still hold your own, whatever build, whatever height you are. It's not about that. It's about being strong on the pitch, especially when you play midfield. You can't just be a soft person and let people push you around. You got to really show your muscle. You got to really show, that you have to work hard to get through us. And I don't get that with McAllister, unfortunately. So I wasn't impressed with his performance today. So for his rating, I'm going to give him. I know we won, but it might be harsh. I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. In terms of Sabozlai, solid performance from him again. Not as influential or impactful like it has been in the last few weeks. Of course, for large parts of the game, he played at right back. So, he kept it solid as much as possible. Um, but a decent performance, not a performance where I'm going to put him in the man of the match. So for me, he gets a 7 out of 10. Um, Verts, I was quite impressed with, to be fair. I thought Verts was very good. Um, I thought he showed his ability once again. And of course, the only issue is for Verts right now is that he's not able to record an assist or an official assist or a goal to his name right now. And neutral fans will ridicule, of course they will. But when you watch Verts, you can just tell he's head and shoulders above everyone else in terms of technical ability, the way he glides off the ball. I remember on 2 occasions where people were trying to outmuscle him, got past them with ease. One was on the right hand side, the second was on the left hand side, but he literally went through 2, 3 players, and it was a great piece of skill to do that. So he's looking stronger, and that's been evident. That's something that I critiqued early in the season because I felt like he seemed a bit weak in terms of his strength on the ball. And I thought when he received the ball, he would take too long to make the move, and that led to him getting fouled from behind and you know conceding the ball in that matter. So he's improved on that. He looks a bit more assured with the ball. His pressing, I think, goes under the radar. I feel like he presses really well from the front. I thought he produced a good performance today. Um, so for his rating, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. And up top, here you got Ekitike. What a performance from our young French striker there. Scored the goal with his literally first chance of the game. And those kind of shots, that it looks easy when you watch it now. Most strikers will balloon out with the ball just because of where they're positioned, so close to goal, and the technique to actually hit over the keeper in that moment is some skill. And today, scored 2 goals, fantastic. But for me, there's still areas of improvement for Ekitike in terms of his final ball. I think he can improve the quality on that. He can be a bit more sharper in his decision making because there's been times where he's released the ball for the player, which is the right decision, but because of the delay or because of the lack of power on the ball, it's pretty much made the chance more difficult than not. And his shooting, I feel like he needs to improve on his shooting, which sounds silly because he scored 2 goals, but had he been a bit more sharp and goal, he'd have at least got a hat trick or even 4 goals today because he created some very good chances for himself. Overall, I can't criticize him too much. Really good performance today. Quite frankly, needs to start the next game. So for me, it's a 9 out of 10 for Hugo Ekitike. And that is my player ratings. I'm just going to go through some of the comments before we talk about the substitutes. Bo has given me his rating. So it is 7 for Ali, Gomez 7, Ibu 7, Virgil 8, Kirkes 7, Gravenbeck 7, Jones 9, Sobozlai 7, McAllister 7, Verse 8, Ekitike 9. Maybe I was a bit harsh with McAllister based on your rating, but I wasn't happy with him today. But I actually thought Maka had a good game today, at least better. But for me, he was giving the ball away too much. There was so many times where I think they targeted him and nicked the ball off him a few times. They made their presence felt by muscling him out or um, just being over physical with him, and he just couldn't handle it, unfortunately. So for me, there's still um, needs an improvement in terms of producing a better all-round performance. Ozwrld looks so much better with more muscles and his new black shoes. Yep, hopefully those shoes will help him going forward. That's it against Spurs. Ozzy, if you want, I can get you a Spurs creator. I might be collaborating with a Liverpool content creator for that one, so yeah, appreciate the shout out there. But I might get one of our own, I guess, on the show. So yeah, hopefully I can get someone lined up next week. Let's move on and do the substitutes as well in terms of the player rating. So we made 4 substitutions. We brought on Salah for the injured Joe Gomez. Obviously, I will put the players in their right position because Salah did not play right back. And then we have Stack for Ekitike. Easy light for light substitution there. And then we had Robertson for Verts. Bloody hell, what was that? Robertson. There we go. And the final substitution was Chiesa for Szoboszlai. Yeah, so let's put the players in their correct position. So okay, Mohamed Salah's definitely not there. Jones ended up playing there, didn't he? So and then Salah ended up playing them all up top, from what I remember. Kind of star. Robertson on the left. Okay, so that is the substitutions. Now let's talk about the players. Mohamed Salah came on and made a huge impact, in my opinion. Played with a different outlook altogether. He came across as more of a creator today, very unselfish in his passing and his through balls. There were times I feel like he could have been a tad bit more selfish and had a shot on goal. But as the game went on, I feel like he felt more confidence and then, applied a few shots and could have gotten a goal sheet himself today. But overall, very, very good performance from him, in my opinion. And considering what's happened in the past week, a lot of players, their head could have been down or they would have just not been as motivated today. He's a moral professional. I don't think that's ever in doubt in terms of the attitude that he applies on the pitch. And in terms of end product today, he produced the assist for Ekitike's goal. So he's got another assist to his name this season. So for me, fantastic performance. I thought he was one of our stand-up players coming off the bench today. He's pretty much played the most of the game. So for me, he gets an 8.5 out of 10. Now, Isak. Isak, don't remember him having a shot, correct me if I'm wrong, towards goal. I remember him pressing quite a bit. I remember him driving the ball a few times, but with no real purpose or no real end product, unfortunately. So I'm gonna have to give him an average rating. So for Isak, I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. And I feel like we have to buy our time with Isak, which sounds very silly because he's our expensive player of all time. So why should we be patient? He should be um hitting the ground running. As we can't use the whole preseason excuse anymore. We're in December now, which I agree. Of course, since the season has begun, he has picked up minor injuries here and there. Remember, he didn't start today, not because of form, it's because he received a knock in the previous game. And that's why I thought it might be wise to just utilize him towards the end rather than from the beginning. But he's got a lot of work to do. If he wants to stake a claim in the team, Scott will either have to change the shape to a two-man strike force, or he has to work hard than when he is given the chance to really perform in order to get Ekitike out of the team, which for me is not going to be an easy task. Um, but I'm hoping, Slot finds a solution to get both of them in the same team because I feel like they're both huge assets to the club and to the team. So we need to have them starting together in more games than not. So for this game, I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. Who else do we have? We have Robertson. Robertson came on, put in a solid shift today. There was a time where, he was defending at the back and got past two players and hit the through ball towards Isak. Couldn't, create a moment there, but still tried his best. So yeah, solid performance from Robertson. So I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. And then we have Chiesa. Chiesa, I always love his cameos when he comes on. Honestly, I feel like he's such a talented player, and I don't know why he's never given an opportunity. I feel like it's not justified at all. There's clearly an issue between the coach and the player. Slot said in the press conference against Inter Man a few days ago that, "Oh, I love the player, I love the person." You're not showing it. You don't give the guy any opportunity to start. Whatever the issue is, like he's treated even like he's Rio and Gomorrah, like he's a young kid. Like, what is the problem here? So I'm quite astounded by his treatment of Chiesa because whenever Chiesa plays, I don't know if I really support the player, but it's like he just uplifts the crowd, and I start enjoying the game a bit more, just in terms of the way he presses and the way he makes use of the ball. Today he almost provided the assist for Salah, who for me deserves to be on the score sheet today, but the ball was applied with a bit too much zip and ended up bouncing towards Salah, and then it led to him, getting the shot just over the bar. But very unselfish play. He's a proper team player, a player that I feel like should be utilized a lot more. So I think he's been mistreated at the club, to be quite frank with you. So in terms of his rating today, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. And that is the final player in terms of the rating. I remember both having a rating there as well. He's given Salah an 8, Chiesa 8, Isak 6, and Robo 6 as well. Bo has commented to say we can't concede so much chances against Spurs, Ozzy. That's correct. They've got a lot of players that will punish us. They are more efficient in front of goal. They may not have shown it this season, but in terms of their overall ability as players, individually, they are capable of scoring goals. So yeah, we have to be better in possession of the ball, on and off the ball, to be fair, and we have to defend more in a more compact manner, in my opinion. So hopefully we can do that going forward. That's the stop rating. I'm not doing ref ratings. I don't give a damn about the ref. But in terms of slot, I'll give him an 8 out of 10. I think in terms of team selection, this is probably biased because I rate Chiesa. I would have started Chiesa or Salah in this game, to be fair. I would have. I think one player I wouldn't have started today was McAllister, but he's gone over. So I would have gone for Verts in that number 10 role, and then Szoboszlai on the right, and then maybe Chiesa on the left, or you go for Verts on the left, and then you go with Szoboszlai in the number 10 role, and then Salah on the right. So I think one of the two, in terms of Chiesa or Salah, should have started today. And secondly, I feel like Chiesa should have been given more minutes at that time. I know maybe he was thinking it's a bit of a fragile scoreline, but Chiesa is one of those attackers that actually works and presses for the team. So he would have been a solid attacking option for me from a defensive and attacking point of view. So I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 for his performance as coach today. And that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to Bo. Thank you to Deluded Steve. Thank you to Lee. And thank you to Daz for your comments. Appreciate your engagement as always, guys. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. In terms of upcoming shows, no shows scheduled for tomorrow, but we will be back next week with some more content. Of course, we're not playing a game until next Saturday, which is against Tottenham. So we'll have a few more free days. Maybe we'll do more transfer shows next week, especially with the January window upon us very, very soon. So I'm sure there'll be more speculation in regards to incoming players. Plus, maybe we'll get some further news on the manager's position and the stance on Salah's future, if he's going to be sold or not. I'm sure there'll be a lot of discussion next week. So yeah, best thing to do is hit that notification bell so you know exactly what time the shows are live on YouTube. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other podcast platform, please make sure to follow or subscribe to the channel, um, as we do plan on doing more content for you guys as well. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to speak with you all very, very soon. Goodbye.